When I was in seventh grade, I got in a fight with an eighth grader that was twice my size. And there was a little bit of buildup, but he said, I'm going to see you after school. And I wasn't one to back down from a bully, and so I said, I'll meet you there. So we showed up at the bus stop, and there was like 100 kids standing around watching. Everybody heard the news. And it wasn't much of a fight. Spoiler alert, he pummeled me. I was scrawny, seventh grader. I got in 2 punches. But I remember looking at all these kids there as I'm getting pummeled by this eighth grader and thinking, where are all my friends? And then my friend Jacob came running out of this pack of people, and he tackled this kid that was on top of me. And I remember walking away from that thinking, now that is a true friend. And our hidden habit number 4 is called find your furnace friends. My friend emerged from the crowd and saved me from this eighth grader. One of my favorite stories of friendships in the Bible is the story of these 4 guys named Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. It's the book of Daniel tells the story. These were guys who probably their whole family was killed. Probably a lot of people they knew were killed when Babylon took over Jerusalem. They took a bunch of slaves. And these were young men who were very smart and very strong that were taken as slaves into the palace of Babylon and forced by King Nebuchadnezzar to learn the customs in a country that was not their own. And these 4 guys stuck together. They took care of each other. They prayed for each other. And King Nebuchadnezzar wanted to put all the wise men of Babylon to death because nobody could interpret his dream. This is the kind of crazy king that he was. And so here's what happens in Daniel chapter 2, verse 17. When Daniel went into his house and made the matter known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, those are their Hebrew names, his companions, and he told them to seek mercy from the God of heaven concerning this mystery so that Daniel and his companions might not be destroyed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. These are guys that prayed with Daniel. They entered into Daniel's fears. They struggled together. They were in a foreign country together. They had memories of home together. They had a shared struggle together. And I just have a question. Who is in it with you? Who's in it? Who are your people? When I was in Phoenix, I decided to move. And it is a joke, but it's true. If you want to know who your true friends are, move into a 3rd-story apartment in Phoenix and move in the middle of July and see who shows up. Those are your true friends. But I remember I invited like 25 people to help me move, and then there was like 5 people that showed up. And I was thinking like, I wish I would have moved earlier so I could have like invested in these 5 people a lot more. Who's in it with you? Maybe you had a time in your life where you lost a job. Maybe you moved, or maybe you got sick. Your furnace friends are the ones that showed up for you in that time of transition or that time of weakness. These are your furnace friends. These are not your Facebook friends. They're not your Instagram friends. Furnace friends are those who are in it with you. I love that meme that came out a couple years ago. It said that nobody really celebrates Jesus' greatest miracle, which is having 12 close friends in his 30s. Right? And so maybe you struggle with friendships in your life and you don't have many. Maybe you have too many friends and you're kind of more about quantity over quality. Maybe you do have these furnace friends that you care about and they're in it with you, but you don't really invest in them and you don't really talk to them a whole lot. And so how do we find furnace friends? And the first way to do this is counterintuitive. You don't go look for furnace friends. You have to get in the furnace. Your life has to be about something higher and greater than just finding friends. This is what C.S. Lewis says. He says, this is why those people that go try and find friends, they can never find any. Because friendship, the essence of friendship is not, do you love me? The essence of friendship is, are you pursuing the same thing as me? Do you see the same truth as me? Furnace friends are people that see the same truth as you, that are pursuing something higher. And the best place, I asked like 20 people where they found their furnace friends, their best friends, the people that are sticking with them. And guess what all of them said? One of them said, I went on a trip to Israel. Another one said, I joined a small group. Another one said, I went to this women's breakfast that was for moms of preschoolers. But the common denominator for the people I surveyed was they all found their closest friends at church. Because church is a place, it's like a furnace. It's a place where people go to live a better life and to be refined and to grow. They met their furnace friends at church. If you want to find furnace friends, you need to get in the furnace. And for some of you, that means willingly choosing to be a part of a community that's about something higher. The other way to do it is to be forced to do a furnace by life events, like whether you're in the military with people. That's how people become close friends. But we have a furnace that we can choose, which is the community of faith. You need to get in the furnace if you want to find those close friends. And you also need to be a furnace friend to people if you want to find furnace friends. How many times in the last week did you actually pray for your closest friends? How many times did you do it? You need to pray for them. You need to know what's going on in their life. If one of your friends asks you for help, you need to move heaven and earth to show up for them. Be someone that other people can depend on. Jordan Peterson was once asked, how do I know who my true friends are? And he said, your true friends are the people that when you tell them bad news, they listen. They don't interrupt and try to share a bad thing that happened to them and derail the entire conversation. They just listen. And when you tell them good news, they celebrate. I think that's pretty good. If you want to know who your friends are, if you tell them bad news, they listen. If you tell them good news, they want to figure out a way to celebrate with you. Those are your true friends. Be someone that other people can depend on. Identify your 3 key friends in life. Pay attention to them. Pay attention to their kids. Know when their kids' birthdays are. Have one day every week that you send a text or call that friend or make them a priority in your life. Who reciprocates your text? Who calls you back? Who shows up? Who celebrates your wins? Those are your people. Pray for them regularly. Know them deeply. Know their kids. The last time we see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is in Daniel chapter 3 when they disobey the king's edict that says you have to bow down and worship this statue that I set up. And they said, we're not going to do that. So King Nebuchadnezzar throws them into a fiery furnace. And here's what happens. Daniel 3:24. The king Nebuchadnezzar leapt to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw in the fire? They replied, certainly, your majesty. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods. What's cool to me about that is we don't know who that 4th person is. Maybe it was an angelic messenger. Maybe it was God himself, whoever. But what we do know is that 4th person was a friend to these guys that were in the fire because he protected them from a flaming death. But it's also kind of profound to me to think about this. Sometimes you only discover your furnace friends after you're in the furnace. And so find your furnace friends.